Alright, YouTube, we're back. This will be my probably 5th YouTube video I've updated so far, and this is going to be different from all the ones I've updated so far. It'll be really no update about gaming or anything like that. It's going to be an update about real life stuff. Not anything about me, but about college football. It was officially week 1 this to this day, which is Saturday. Probably when all y'all watch this, it'll be Sunday because I am uploading this late Saturday night. But mostly all the games are wrapped up now. Mostly the main one, actually College Game Days, game of the week, is not wrapped up yet, but it's in late in fourth quarter, and I'll get into that game in a second. But we're gonna cover most of the notable games. Let me pull all of them up on my phone. I'm gonna give you takeaways from that game, what I think about just. And of course, week 1 in college football is always kind of a cupcake week. It's a lot of the lower tier FBS teams or even FCS teams, like we saw a lot of this week. And unlike last week, which was week 0, this was officially week 1 of the college football season. So let's get right into it. We're going to recap all the day's games. So starting from Thursday this week, NC State beat WCU. I believe that's Western Carolina. That game was actually really close up until, I think, the 4th, where NC State kind of ran away with that game. Looking forward for the Wolfpack next week. I believe they have Tennessee. I honestly thought that game was going to be competitive, but we're going to get into Tennessee's game this week. I think Tennessee's got that game by a lot. Not how NC State played for 3 quarters. If you barely can beat a team like Western Carolina, who I didn't even know existed before Thursday night, I don't think they're going to beat a really good top 20 ranked SEC team with a great coach like Josh Heupel and a really promising quarterback by the looks of it, Nico Emelaev. So that game, NC State getting the win there. Next game, Kansas beating Lindenwood 48-3. Nothing really surprised. I honestly thought it'd be a little more than that, but still a 45-point win. You're going to take what you can get whenever you can take it. Big win for Kansas and Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal and all them. They'll be looking forward to next week. We got our first SEC game, which was also Thursday night, between Missouri and Murray State. Honestly, Missouri, I kind of did not. I think they have been kind of flying under the radar. Great season last year, their best in recent memory. But really, they think that they're like probably either the 5th or 6th best SEC team, if not maybe a spot above that. Because like thinking teams that are better than them are like Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, in my opinion. LSU's arguably better than them. But other than that, I mean, I think Missouri's got that spot right there, and bam, Alabama, obviously. But I mean, I think Missouri could shock a lot of people. 51-0, an absolute rout to Luther Burden put on the show as usual. The best wide receiver in the country, in my opinion, and Brady Cook, who is continuing to be very underrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's a very good quarterback, and he has NFL potential. Now, there will be doubts because he does have the best wide receiver in the country on his team. What would he be like if he didn't have a guy like Luther Burden on his team? But we won't know until the NFL or Luther Burden gets injured this season. Hopefully not. He's a very talented player. But Missouri starts 1-0 in the year. Utah, the main story around this game on Thursday night was Cam Rising returning his 7th year in college football. 25-year-old veteran, a very, very good quarterback. In my opinion, could be top 10 quarterback in college football. Of course, he didn't play all of last year. It was his first game in over, I forgot, 800 days. Or not 800 days, like 400 days or something like that. I saw a graphic, I just don't remember it. But 49-0 for Utah's win over Southern Utah. Utah, really good team. The Utes have been that way for a long time with Cam Rising back. I think they will make the college football playoff. But we will just have to see what happens. And their schedule is tough, difficult, but I think Utah can win most of those games, and they're a very talented football team. Next up, the newest member to the SEC, and it was the one of the last games. They don't have Colorado on here. I'll talk about that game after this one. But Oklahoma faced off in their first ever SEC, their first ever game as a member of the SEC. They took down Temple by the score of 51-3, and Jackson Arnold looked incredible in this game. There was a lot of doubts surrounding his skill. Was he really their guy? Is he overhyped? A lot of Oklahoma fans think he's really good. I think he's a very talented quarterback. He's got potential to be really good at the collegiate level. make his name for himself and maybe be a professional one day, and a professional that's going to make a lot of money and be successful in the NFL. But a great day for Oklahoma overall. Their defense in this game, I know it is Temple, but I mean, holding a collegiate team, an FBS team, to only 3 points. Temple is one of the worst FBS teams. They have been for a long time, but still, good statement win for Oklahoma to start the year, and it's just a good way to start the year for Boomer Sooner Nation. And we got the first game of today, the morning game. This game was very, very anticipated, and I did not think it was going to be this bad, but Georgia, like I said before, I think that they are coming out with a vengeance. They were wrongly put out of the college football playoff. They had not lost a game. They had a 29-game win streak for last year's SEC championship game. And remember, in 2022, the first year they won their national title, 2022, they, correction, my bad, 2021, the first year they won their national title, they, I just had a kind of a brain freeze right there. 2021, their first national title. It was just, they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game. Alabama really outplayed them, but they still, and they were a one-loss. They were the same record as they were last year when they got put out. But, I mean, I don't know how you leave out the back-to-back national champions out of a 4-team playoff when they were one of the 4 best teams in college. I think that they would have won it all, but I just don't think the committee wanted them to win. I thought they wanted somebody else to win. And so that's why. But they're coming out with a vengeance. I think Kirby Smart, I mean, he is an incredible coach. I think he's the Nick Saban of this generation. And he's going to be what Nick Saban was and what Alabama was about 10 years ago, like 8 years ago. This is what Georgia's going to be from now on with Kirby Smart as their head coach. He's the best head coach in college football. They have arguably the best quarterback in college football. They lost a lot of players. They lost Brock Bowers to the NFL. But, I mean, it's just incredible what this program can do. And they're going to be number 1 all year, in my opinion. I think they're going to go unbeaten. When they take down Clemson 34-3 in Clemson, a lot of surface around Dabo Swinney. Kind of in a rise last year. Is he really a good coach, or is he not a good coach? He just needs a top 5 quarterback in the collegiate level to carry him to a national championship or to a playoff appearance or be a good program. But Clemson is still one of the best programs in college football history-wise. But, I mean, right now, Clemson, I thought they were overly hyped right to number 14 in the preseason polls from a team that was not a good team last year, in my opinion. They haven't really been a good team in a while, since probably 2020. But, I mean, Dabo Swinney, I think this could be his last year as the Clemson head coach. I doubt Clemson will fire him just because of the success he's had. He has the national championship under his belt. But, I mean, I think if he doesn't have a good quarterback, and don't get me wrong, Kate Klubnik is a good QB. It's just the Clemson style that Dabo Swinney implements in his team and his offenses. It's kind of going away in college football now. College coordinators, defensive coordinators, and head coaches from other teams are recognizing what they're doing and realizing that it's a really beatable style if you really look at it. And I think Clemson's going to have to adapt to the new landscape, and I don't think they haven't been able to do that yet. I don't think they're going to do that here. It is Georgia, the best team in the world, in my opinion. But, I mean, a 34-3 win. That's, game was over by the end. Bad first half by Georgia. Bad first half by Georgia, but, I mean, it's fine. They picked up in the second half. Kirby Smart definitely lit into his team in the first half. But, I mean, a great win for Georgia. I don't see any flaws in their game at all. I mean, they have the best safety in college football with Malachi Starks on their team. Potentially the best quarterback in college football on their team in Carson Beck. And potentially one of the best tight ends in college football in Oscar Delp. So, I mean, it's a great pro roster that they have there in Clemson. I don't know what to say. Luckily, with the 12-team playoff, they still have a chance in the ACC. Because I don't think the ACC is going to be that good this year as they were last year. But, I mean, still, Clemson is not looking good. I probably believe this will be the last year of Dabo Swinney. Their next game, Penn State and West Virginia. I actually picked the underdog here. This was my underdog pick of the week. I thought West Virginia was actually going to win this game, and they didn't. There was a rain delay in this game. Penn State proved all the doubters wrong because it was just more than just me. The whole sports media kind of picked West Virginia to upset Penn State with Penn State going on the road. But I mean, a great game here played by Penn State on the road at the Mountaineers home stadium. And Penn State, this team's legit. I mean, Drew Aller, incredible first half, 3 touchdown passes on 8 completions. I believe 70% completion percentage. An incredible game by him. Incredible game overall by the team. Incredible overall by everybody that they put together in that program. And I think that it's going to continue. If you want to be honest, it will continue. And I am happy for Penn State, and I think this could be the year that they finally can beat a team like Ohio State. We're going to have to see. But Penn State, good win there, silencing the doubters against West Virginia. And now Iowa facing Illinois State. Iowa. Offense was the key of this game. I can't believe I'm saying it. The Iowa Hawkeyes scored more than 20 points in a game. This was the highest points Iowa put up, I believe, in 2 seasons, with Cade McNamara as their quarterback. He was out there looking like prime Terry Bradshaw. I mean, incredible game. It is against Illinois State. I believe that's an FCS school. But, I mean, 40-0 win for Iowa. They came as the 25th ranked team in the country in the preseason polls. I believe their defense is obviously going to win them games that they shouldn't win. We'll see next week if this offensive sprout that they had in week 1 was kind of a fluke. But, I mean, Iowa, I think they're really flying under the radar. I think they're an underrated team. I think they have potential to make the college football playoff. Again, the offense, they're going to have to put points on the board. But, I mean, 40 points in week 1 is against Illinois State. Nothing really to get excited for, but I can definitely tell Iowa fans are hopeful. Cade McNamara was playing very good. He was taking care of the football. He's making risky throws, but he was confident in those throws, unlike the years prior at Michigan and years prior at Iowa from McNamara. So, good win for Iowa. They'll probably move up in the top 25. And next up, the second highest scoring game of the weekend, I believe. Tennessee absolutely routed Chattanooga 69-3, a 66-point win with the first collegiate start. Yes. I can't remember if he started in their bowl game last year, but the first, regular season collegiate start for Nico Imalava. I really don't know how to pronounce his last name. I know who he is. I just can't really pronounce his last name that well. And, I'm sorry if I butchered that. But, I mean, incredible game by him. He didn't play in the second half. Josh Heupel rested him. 69-3 Tennessee. I think they're also flying under the radar like Iowa. I think they're a really good team. I think they're a dark horse SEC championship contender. Last year, Tennessee definitely not as good as they were the year prior. But, I mean, they shut out Iowa, who has a great defense. I know they were missing a couple of key players to the combine last year, but still had most of that incredible defense intact. And Tennessee, I mean, a 66-point win over Chattanooga. I mean, it's Chattanooga, nothing to get too excited for. But Tennessee, I think they're going to be a really good team. And I could see maybe only a 1-loss season coming from them. They do have a tough schedule, but I think they could win most of those games. And a good win for Tennessee and for Tennessee fans. Next up, kind of, I think, a fraud alert that we have here. I believe Oklahoma State. They were the 16th ranked team in the preseason polls. They played South Dakota State, an FCS school. But I mean, 44-20, and this score really doesn't show how this game was. This game was tight for same as the NC State and Western Carolina game from earlier I talked about. This game was really tight until like the fourth quarter. Oklahoma State, I thought they would win by more. They won by 24, 44-20 victory. A good win. Ollie Gordon, I mean, he's probably the best running back in the country. Could be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. But, I mean, he was incredible. But, I mean, Alan Bowman, not a great show. And you're going to have to pass football, too, if you want to win a football game. And 20 points to an FCS school. The defense got to work for the Pokes. Defense is usually not their problem, but the run game is fine. It's just Alan Bowman. You're going to have to get him involved unless it's level 2. You can't run the ball every single play. But still, great performance from Oklahoma. Not a great performance from Oklahoma State, but they still did get the win. Next up, we got Texas, their first game as a member of the SEC. Really nothing about here. They shut out Colorado State 52-0. I thought it would be more than this, but still 52-0 is nothing to be sad about. A great performance by Texas. Quinn Ewers played amazing. Arch Manning played incredible as well. I believe he went 5 for 6, 95 yards on a touchdown pass. It was a lateral. It was an incredible throw on the run by the line of scrimmage. But I mean, you got a lot to look forward to if you're Texas fans. This year, you could maybe go win it all, win the national championship like they thought last year. But this team is better than last year's, in my opinion. And now a member of the SEC, more of a challenge. I think they're going to rise up to that challenge. Could maybe be unbeaten. They could be the team to take down Georgia. But I mean, Texas, I don't know if they'll move up any. Probably maybe a spot or two because of Oregon's performance today. But we're going to get into that in a minute. But Texas 52-0 win and a good performance by Arch Manning, their future quarterback. Next up, Ohio State and Akron. Ohio State put together a gauntlet of a team in the offseason. Ryan Day, he is tired of not being able to take it to the distance with these Ohio State teams. Ohio State is always in contention to win the national championship every year, even if they're not even in the top 25. Hasn't been for a long time, but still, that is how good this program is. That is how well coached they are. Ryan Day, incredible coach. Could be his last season as Ohio State coach if they can't get it done. It's championship or bust for this Buckeye team. And by the play they performed today, I think they can get it. It is against Akron. Ohio State always does not play that talented of teams, but because they are in the Big Ten, and kind of the committee gives them a lean way like Michigan in the first part of the season. But 52-6, always good to drop a 50 bomb on any team, NFL or college or high school, or even Friday Night Lights when they're playing. I don't know what that league is called, but still, when you're an 8-year-old playing football, Ohio State gets the big win there by 40 plus. Jeremiah Smith, I mean, he's the future of Ohio State. Will Howard, first game, was really good as a Buckeye. Quinshon Judkins. Trayvon Henderson was good in the limited amount of time he played. So was Emeka Ibuka, really good. So Ohio State, they got that win. Good win for them. And next up, a shocker. I picked this team to actually lose by 10 points. Miami and Florida, a rivalry. Both these teams do not like each other. They hadn't played since 2019, I believe, where Florida won. That was not the case here in 2024. Miami headed on the road, number 19 in the preseason polls. A lot of people saying that Miami, this is the best team they put together in a long time. Of course, they're getting Cam Ward, and I believe he was either the first or the second best guy in the transfer portal from this previous offseason. Definitely the best quarterback from Washington State. He showed that, I mean, I know the environment in the swamp, that was a big question about him. Washington State, there wasn't really bad environments, tough environments for him to play in where the crowd was a factor. The swamp is. It's one of the hardest places to play in college football, and he silenced him. I mean, I watched the first half and most of the second half. He was so nonchalant by his body language, and definitely proving that he is a Heisman contender. Incredible game by him. He made a couple of bad reads throwing across the body, which is a cardinal sin if you're a quarterback. But I mean, definitely he settled down in Miami, winning this game 41-17. They just dominated Florida from the get-go. From the opening drive, Miami was the better team. From the opening kickoff, Miami was the better team, and they showed it here. Their defense, Damian Martinez, the transfer, is over Shreppo, one of the best wide receivers in the country. Reuben Bain Jr., one of the best edge rushers in the country, and Cam Ward, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Great game for Miami. And are they back? They have a favorable schedule. A lot of teams saying they could be ACC champions and be one of those teams in one of those top 4 seeds if they win the ACC. And I could maybe see an unbeaten season here from Miami. We'll just have to see down the road. We'll have to see if they're truly back. But a good Week 1 win over an SEC opponent in Florida. Next up, Kansas State and UT Martin. Kansas State, very underrated team in my opinion. I think they're one of the best teams, one of the most underrated teams all in college football. They took it against UT Martin 41-6. UT Martin, not a good team. So an incredible 34-35 point victory there from Kansas State. Good performance there from Avery Johnson. They're very underrated quarterback, and Kansas State will look forward to next week, and I think they're a dark horse college football playoff team. Next up, Alabama and Western Kentucky. First game without Nick Saban in over, I believe, 17 to 20 years. That's crazy. Kalen DeBoer's first game as the Alabama head coach, and Jalen Milroe's first start ever since that infamous semifinal college football playoff game where he tried to run it in overtime against Michigan, but could not. And 63-0 win from Alabama over Western Kentucky. Not surprising. Incredible win there from them. didn't really expect anything else but an incredible win by Alabama, and then we'll look forward to next week where I believe they take on South Florida, and then their first week is in week 3 where they go down to Camp Randall to play, I believe Wisconsin. Yes, Wisconsin and Camp Randall. That'll be the first real test without Nick Saban. We're going to see how it goes. Next up, my team. The biggest win in the Lane Kiffin era as an Ole Miss Rebel head coach. The biggest win since Jackson Dart has been the quarterback. The biggest win for Ole Miss since their win last year's week 1, where they beat, who was that team that they beat Mercer 73-7. This year, 76-0 over Furman. I know it is Furman, but this Ole Miss team, I think this is the best that we've put together since Archie Manning. This team, this offense is incredible. I know it is against an FCS school in Furman, and nobody knows who Furman is. Respectful to Furman fans, if anyone watches this and they are a fan of Furman. I'm sure that they're good in the FCS. But, I mean, Ole Miss, I think this is the year. I mean, even Nick Saban said it. Ole Miss, and they have the #1 transfer portal class. We have the transfer portal god as our head coach in Lane Kiffin. We had a solid recruiting class. A lot of people don't think it is, but I think it is a very solid recruiting class. And but really the transfer portal, royal names: Walter Nolan, the best defensive player in the SEC and potentially the country, in my opinion. One of the best D-linemen in the country. That defense as well. That's always been a problem for Ole Miss. The offense ever in the Lane Kiffin era has been quick tempo, going underneath, taking the deep shots when necessary with Matt Corral and now Jackson Dart. But the defense has always been a problem. It was the best it had been last year. But our defense played like it was 0-0 every possession. Even when we were up by, I believe, 50 at the end of the first half, that last drive of the first half, they were playing like it was 0-0. And I think that Pete Golding is getting those guys to like, hey, the only way that we're going to beat a team like Georgia, we're going to beat LSU, if we're going to make a deep run of the college football playoff and maybe even win the national championship, our defense is going to have to play like it is 0-0 every single snap. That's what they did today. Incredible performance, 76-0, the biggest win in Ole Miss history under Lane Kiffin. I'll be looking forward to next week where we take on Middle Tennessee. We don't really have a real test until, if you could consider Wake Forest a real test, in 2 weeks at Wake Forest. But, I mean, should be first 4 cupcake weeks for Ole Miss. But, I mean, I'm really happy with this performance from the Ole Miss Rebels. And I think that this is a really good building block to move forward. And I think this team is legit. I think this is the best team that we've put together in the past 30 years because we haven't won a national championship in over 80 years. I think that if this team right now played, I can't even think of the last really good Ole Miss team, one of those Archie Manning teams, I think this team beats it by 20. I know it's 1 week. Maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself. But this team, I think we can hang in with any team in the world. I know that right now, I'm looking at teams like Georgia. I think really we play them on November 9th. That's going to be a packed crowd at the Grove. That has Game of the Year potential. That has Game of the Century potential. I know we said that last year. We got beat by 35. This is a different story this year. This Ole Miss team is 10 times better than it was last year. 10 times better than it was in 2022, which I think the 2022 team was even better than the 2023 team and the 2021 team. So, I mean, this team, I don't know if we could beat Georgia. I have confidence that we could. I have confidence we can beat Texas. I have confidence we can beat Ohio State. I have confidence we can beat Oregon. I think we can beat any team in the world. But I think our team is that good. I think it's because our defense has got better. We were even without Jordan Watkins, an incredible receiver. Trey Harris proved that he is Biletnikoff Award watch list. He is must-see TV. He is an incredible player. Caden Priest scoring quiet night. He did catch a touchdown. J.J. Pegues ran it in for a 2-yard touchdown run, the big boy. But incredible performance by the guys. We'll be looking forward to next week against Middle Tennessee. And I'm really looking forward to that Georgia game if we can keep it up. And also LSU. We could be heading into that Georgia game with a 9-0 record. Our really only test is Oklahoma and LSU. And I think Oklahoma's not going to do that well in their first year in the SEC. But I think LSU, they're always going to be a problem. It's the Magnolia Bowl. We don't like each other. It's going to be at Death Valley in a hot afternoon in October. I mean, it's going to be rowdy crowd there. LSU fans don't like Ole Miss fans. We don't like LSU fans. I hate LSU. LSU fans hate Ole Miss. So, I mean, it's pure fashioned hate. It's an incredible rivalry, one of the best in the SEC. And I really think that we can win that game. We're just going to see how it plays out. But good week one win for Ole Miss, the biggest week one win of this week. And breaking news, Notre Dame survives in the game of the week against Texas A&M, a top 20 matchup. First game of Mike Elko's tenure as the Texas A&M Aggie head coach. And I'm looking at this. I have two words, Connor Weigman. I don't think he's a good quarterback. He struggled in the first half. Riley Leonard also did his first start as the Irish QB, but he settled down in the second half. But, I mean, Connor Weigman, they're going to have to figure something out with him. Looking at his stat line, he had 12 for 30 with 100 yards, no touchdowns, so 2 picks. I believe he also fumbled the ball once. He's not a good quarterback. I know Notre Dame has a very good defense, but, I mean, if you're going to do that against an independent school in Notre Dame, who's not even in a conference, who hasn't won a national championship in 30 years, I don't know how you're going to do that against an SEC team that's kind of lower tier, like maybe even a team like South Carolina. I think Texas A&M is heavily overrated. I think Mike Elko's going to struggle in the first year, but I had A&M winning this game. I don't think Notre Dame's that good either, but Marcus Freeman could be his last year as the Notre Dame head coach. He really hasn't been able to win the big game, and he beats an SEC team here in Texas A&M to pick up his 8th win of all time as I believe the Notre Dame head coach against a top 25 team. That's a lot. I don't think he can win the big game, but Notre Dame, severely underrated, but I also do not think they're a very good team. I think that they will make the CFP, but they will probably get bounced by a team like Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss's offense is too much for them. Jackson Dart, all the weapons that Ole Miss has, and I think that they would get first round in the CFP. And Texas A&M, I have them finishing this year unranked and maybe at a 6-6 to 7-5 mark. At best, they're going to finish 9-3 and bounce back, but I see a 6-6, 7-5 to 8-4 range here for the Aggies. Not a great start for Mike Elko's tenure, so we're going to see how it goes next week for the Aggies. But next game, I believe that might be it, actually. No, we have a couple more games here. We have 2 more to discuss. Fresno State and Michigan, the reigning national champs, first game. I think they had lost 16 starters. Notables I can name off the top of my head: J.J. McCarthy. God, I'm a casual. J.J. McCarthy. Well, they lost a lot. I'll just say that a lot on the offensive line, not on the defense. They still have the best corner in the league in Will Johnson, but he's not going to carry you to a national championship or even a 10-win season as a cornerback. And Alex Orji, not a very good performance from Orji. This game, I knew Michigan was going to win the game. It was a very big sleeper game. Alex Orji actually came in through 1 and 2, had a 3 yards. It was mostly Davis Warren who put up better numbers. I still do not think he's that much of a starting quarterback. Michigan's going to be heavy run reliant like they have been for a long time. Donovan Edwards, I think he is very overrated. He has really one good game under his belt that made him a star running back like he is. He is a very good running back, one of the best in the country, but he is very extraordinarily overrated by Michigan fans and even normal college football fans in general. But Michigan, I have them probably going like a 9-3 this season. I have them maybe missing the college football playoff to barely making it in. I feel like they might make it in because the committee loves Michigan. But the reigning national champions, not a very solid week one, but they do get a 20-point victory over a solid school like Fresno State. Next up, another game. Fraud alert, maybe? Oregon winning 24-14 against Idaho. Idaho, a team that Oregon, I believe, was 49-point favorites. Win this game by only 10 points. Dylan Gabriel's Duck debut. The first half, he was incredible for Oregon. I mean, he had an incredible first half slate for the Ducks. But a nice job for the Ducks to get the win. But, I mean, if I'm an Oregon fan, I'm not happy with this win. I thought Oregon was arguably could maybe finish. I believe they will be one of those top 4 seeds. But, I mean, looking at this, I think an SEC school could handle them. I think a Georgia could beat them with ease by the look of it now. Maybe this was just a warm-up week for Dylan Gabriel. First game under the system of Dan Lanning, how they run their offense. but I mean, for the left-handed quarterback. But I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of rubbing off the sharpening the edges for Dylan Gabriel and the Duck offense. Their offense can be really overpowered, but I am a little worried if I'm a Duck fan and even a college football fan in general, because in my opinion, college football is better when Oregon's dominating. I don't know why. I just think it is. College football's a better landscape when the Oregon Ducks are dominating college football. But I mean, we'll just see how it goes next week. But Oregon, not a very good win, even though they do take it. We're going to see how they do next week. And last game, I'll just touch this. Arizona, end of one. Arizona, number 20 on New Mexico. We're tied. We got a stalemate at 14-14. Arizona, number 21 in the country with Noah Fifita as their quarterback, one of the best in the country. We're going to see how that goes. And tomorrow, kind of the biggest game there is top 25 matchup between USC and LSU. LSU, very underrated team, number 13. I think they should be in that mark. But not as good season of last year by LSU than they were in 2022, where they made the SEC championship. But still a good season. Good season last year from LSU. They got a tough slate this year. Notable teams I can name off the top of my head is like Oklahoma. I believe they play Georgia. They got Bama. They got Ole Miss. I mean, tough skate. But we're going to see Brian Kelly. Is this his last year? Can he win the big game? Can he get it done with the bright light shining on him? And USC, I think they're really underrated. I think they're a way worse team without Caleb Williams, who is the best quarterback in college football for probably three seasons. He's now in the NFL. We'll see his debut next week for the Chicago Bears. But Miller Moss, I mean, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he is very underrated. USC, I don't think they should be this low. 23. I could be wrong, and LSU could beat them by 20 next week. Or tomorrow night, excuse me. But, I mean, I think USC could maybe come out that game on top. I think LSU is going to win that game, but I think it might only be by, like, maybe 2 to 3 points. Maybe by a game-winning field goal or something like that. It will be played, I believe, in the Coliseum. I don't know if that'll be a factor. Coliseum, not really as feared when USC is not as hyped up as they usually are. But I think USC, they're a much better team than a lot of people are saying. But I'll be looking really forward to Miller Moss as he will make his first start, his first regular season start as a Trojan tomorrow night. And the last game of week 1 on Monday, Florida State taking on Boston College. Florida State coming off the embarrassing loss against Georgia Tech in week 0 in Ireland last week on the game-winning field goal by the Yellow Jackets. Florida State, I got them losing that game tomorrow night against Boston College. Boston College, very underrated team. DJ, I think that this tomorrow night could be his last game as a starter at the collegiate level. Maybe his last game is professional football. I think he is a very bad quarterback. He really can't throw it down the field. I don't know if it's a confidence thing, because he's got a strong arm. You saw it all the time in high school. I don't know if that accumulates to college, though. It hasn't so far at his time in Oregon State or Clemson. And it doesn't look like it's going to accumulate well in Florida State either. And the Seminoles coming off a season where they've lost back-to-back games, but they lost by 60 to Georgia in the Peach Bowl the Orange Bowl last year. And they lost by 4, crushing 3 on a game-winning field goal to Georgia Tech last week in Ireland. So I mean, I say tomorrow's got to be a must-win for the Seminoles, so they will be definitely out of the college football hopes and ACC championship. I think this team's a very good team. I think Mike Norvell is an incredible coach. But I mean, you don't have a quarterback. I mean, they're probably going to be heavy run reliant. They might throw it a lot with DJ, but I mean, he can't throw it down the field. He can't throw it more than 5 yards. So I mean, I don't know what to say. I think tomorrow night or on Monday night will be his last start as a Florida State Seminole. I think he will be maybe even gone after a half if it gets bad, because I think Boston College is going to win that game, and I think they could win it by 10 plus. I could be wrong. Florida State could blow them out, but I think Florida State will start the year 0-2 and be eliminated from all hopes of the college football playoff and the ACC championship. But that is it for the week 1 slate. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Another game I missed here. Mississippi State won today against Eastern Kentucky, I believe. Really good game for Blake Shapen. We'll see if that accumulates. It was against, I believe, Eastern Kentucky is an FCS school. But I mean, we'll see how it goes for the Bulldogs. I think that they are kind of underrated a little bit because a lot of teams says they're going to be like 3-9, 4-8. I don't think Jeff Lebby is going to have that team because I know a lot of experience with Jeff Lebby. He used to be the Ole Miss offensive coordinator. I mean, he runs a great system. He's going to get Mississippi State adapted to the more passing the ball, kind of not air raid like they ran with Mike Leach as at the time, but more of a more pass dominant team than they were. They tried to run a pro style offense last year with Will Rogers and Zach Arnett as their head coach, which is why they got Zach Arnett fired. I think that Zach Arnett could work really better in the NFL as not even a head coach, maybe as a coordinator. But I mean, a pro style offense really is not going to work in the SEC. You need something that's high energizing. I think it used to work, doesn't anymore. A lot of teams are adapted to the new high energized style. And I think Jeff Lebby is a big factor that introduced that with Ole Miss in 2020 and 2021. Ole Miss averaged 530 yards of total offense in both of those years. And a lot of that was through the passing game. We had a solid running back in Henry Parrish, who's back on our team, and a guy like Snoop Connor and Jerry O'Neely. But, I mean, none of those guys are really good running backs, and they really weren't. They were solid, serviceable. But State, I don't even really know who their running back is. And I'm an Ole Miss fan. I don't like Mississippi State, but, I mean, I think they're kind of underrated. I think that their ceiling is to go like an 8-4. That's Mississippi State's top ceiling with Jeff Lebby as their head coach. They can do it. I think a successful season for Mississippi State, because they have a hard schedule, arguably maybe the hardest in the league, in the college football, but I'm going to look and see what their schedule is. It is very hard, but I mean, also they put in future starter Chris Parson, will probably be the true freshman, will probably be the starter next year. I think he is kind of a little overhyped on Mississippi State fans, but they really haven't had a good quarterback since Dak Prescott, so I mean, it is warranted, and he does resemble Dak Prescott in the way he plays. But I mean, looking at their games, I mean, they got a gauntlet. They have to play 3 top 25 ranked teams in a row in the last month of September, last week of September, and the first 2 months of October. And so I think if you can get a win in the Egg Bowl over Ole Miss, if you can get a win in the Egg Bowl over Ole Miss, or maybe beat a team like Missouri, or maybe not Missouri, maybe like a Tennessee, I think that season's going to be a success. Maybe get an upset win. Be like what Florida did to Tennessee last year. I think if you can just get one of those games, if you can beat one of those really good teams like a Tennessee, like a Missouri, like an Ole Miss, if you can just beat one of those teams, I think y'all take that as good. I don't think they're going to beat any of those teams. I think most likely team that they could beat out of those teams, out of those 4 teams I named, or 3 teams I named, it may be Ole Miss. I hate to say it, but, I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the Egg Bowl. I think this year is going to be a sizable win for us. I think we'll probably win by 17 plus, because I don't know if Mississippi State can stop our high-powered offense, and their offense is solid, but, I mean, it's not good, but, I mean, I think Jeff Lebby's going to get it to a pretty good SEC offense in the terms of an SEC team. Jeff Lebby, I think he's going to be a really good head coach. We're going to have to see. He doesn't have his first SEC game until where they play Florida on September 21st, so he's got a lot of time to get ready for that game. He's got 4 weeks to get ready for that. But, I mean, they got Arizona State next week. They always play like a pack. They always play like a pack team. We're going to see how it goes that is a 9:30, so that game will be over until like midnight. First real test of Jeff Lebby as the head coach. They'll probably escape with the win. I think it's going to be really close, though. But, I mean, they'll probably escape with that victory. But, I mean, yeah, the Bulldogs, just want to touch on them real quick for Mississippi State fans. And that's going to do it for today's video. Leave a like and comment on if you have any comments about what I said, about any of those teams, about the teams I'm excited for, and the teams that had bad first weeks and really good first weeks. Congratulations to all y'all's teams for winning week 1, and the ones who lost. It's a long season. I mean, it's only week 1. It's only going to go up from here. So, I mean, it's fine. And I hope y'all have a good night, and leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And good night.